Earth was set as the next target, and one message plunged the galaxy into fear. The stars were calm that night. Earth had always seemed safe, and the people who looked at the sky never thought it could hide danger. Most humans live their lives without thinking much about what was beyond their small planet. But far away in the deep darkness of space, something had noticed Earth. Lucas Grant sat in the control room of his small exploration ship, the Aurora. He was alone on this mission, sent to check a relay station at the edge of the known galaxy. Lucas had been a pilot for 10 years, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for what he was about to see. The station was silent. There were no lights, no movement, just a faint glow from the energy cores. He stepped inside carefully. The air was stale, but the system still worked. On the main console, a strange message had appeared. It was old, in a code that humans had never seen before. His fingers shook as he touched the controls. Something about the symbols made his heart beat faster. Back on Earth, the first signals were dismissed as glitches. Scientists at the Global Space Authority had received the transmission first, but the message was almost impossible to understand. It looked like random signals at first, a jumble of frequencies and strange sounds. But then one of the young analysts, Maya Carter, noticed a pattern. She spent hours staring at the screen, writing notes, checking and rechecking. "This is not random," she said to herself quietly. "Someone sent this on purpose." Lucas had managed to decrypt part of the code by the time he reported to Earth. When he finally contacted Maya, he could hear the tension in her voice over the comms. "You need to see this," Lucas said. It's about Earth. They are coming." Maya froze. "Who is coming?" she whispered, even though she already felt the answer deep in her chest. Lucas did not respond immediately. He only stared at the stars outside the station window. They looked peaceful, but he knew better now. The message had come from a species that had already destroyed entire worlds. They called themselves the Silent Dominion. The Silent Dominion had no mercy. There were no survivors from their attacks. Planets were erased. Entire civilizations vanished, leaving nothing but empty space. And now, the message claimed, Earth was next. When the transmission reached Earth, the first reaction was disbelief. Officials called it a hoax, a mistake. They could not imagine a species capable of destroying planets, let alone one that could find Earth across the vast galaxy. But as the days passed, more evidence appeared. Outposts in nearby star systems had gone dark. Explorers sent to investigate never returned. Something was moving closer, and it was fast. Dr. Ethan Brooks, a scientist at the Global Space Authority, worked with Maya to understand the message. Ethan was quiet and careful, the kind of man who noticed small details. He read every word, every number in the transmission. The Silent Dominion did not just send a warning. They had included specific coordinates and a timeline. They knew exactly where Earth was and how long it would take to reach it. Lucas was part of a small team of human observers. His mission had been peaceful at first, just exploration. But now it felt different. He flew back to Earth in record time, carrying the decoded fragments of the message. Every step he took felt heavy. He could feel the fear spreading across Earth like a cold wind. Governments began emergency meetings. Soldiers, scientists, and leaders gathered to discuss the threat. Some argued that humanity could fight back with its weapons. Others said there was no chance. The Silent Dominion had powers humans could not understand. In the middle of this chaos, a small group of civilians tried to remain calm. Maya and Ethan worked tirelessly to understand the message's secrets. They believed the key to survival might not be weapons, but knowledge. The transmission had something hidden inside it, a message within a message. It was strange. almost like it was written to test humans. Lucas met them in a secure facility deep underground. The three of them worked together, going through layers of data and encrypted codes. Hours passed, days passed. Each discovery brought more questions than answers. "It's not just a warning," Maya said one evening. Her voice was tired but determined. "They are watching us. They know more than we do. And they are afraid of something." Lucas frowned. "Afraid? How can a species that destroys worlds be afraid of us?" "I don't know yet, but the pattern in their message, it shows hesitation. They've never hesitated before. Something about humans is different." The thought made them uneasy. They were not heroes. They were ordinary people facing something extraordinary. And yet, the message suggested that humans were more important than anyone had realized. Outside, the sky was filled with stars. But to Lucas, they looked different now. They were not just lights in the darkness. They were warnings. Each star was a reminder that Earth was small, fragile, and very much in danger. Meanwhile, across the world, people began to notice unusual signals on their communication devices. Radios and satellites picked up sounds that could not be explained. Some thought it was interference. Others thought it was alien. Nobody realized that these signals were connected to the warning Lucas had found. News outlets spread stories about strange signals, but they were quickly dismissed. Governments controlled the information, worried about panic. But inside secure labs and military bases, people knew the truth. Earth had been noticed, and it was now a target. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan worked without sleep. They discovered that the message contained a warning not just for humans, but for the entire galaxy. It told of the Silent Dominion's path of destruction and mentioned other civilizations that had been wiped out. The names of those worlds were chilling. They had once been vibrant, full of life, and now they were gone. "This is what they could do to us," Ethan said quietly. "If we do nothing, Earth will vanish like those worlds." Maya nodded, staring at the code on her screen. "But maybe there is a way to survive. The message is strange, yes, but there is something in it that suggests we are not completely helpless." Lucas looked at both of them. "Then we have to find it. Whatever it is, it could save us all." As they worked, the humans outside the labs went about their normal lives, unaware of the danger. People laughed, loved, argued, and slept. Earth continued to spin peacefully, even as the galaxy began to hold its breath. In the distance, the Silent Dominion moved closer. Their ships were enormous, black as the void, silent as death. No one had seen them directly. They were always on the edge of detection, always watching, waiting. On the Aurora, Lucas stared at the stars again. He remembered the first time he had left Earth as a young pilot. The galaxy had seemed beautiful and safe. Now it seemed full of shadows, shadows that could end everything. But Lucas, Maya, and Ethan refused to give up. They were ordinary people, but the message had chosen them to understand it. Somehow, humans had a role to play. Whether that role would save the world or destroy it, nobody could say. As the days passed, Lucas made contact with other planets and space stations. Some had seen the Silent Dominion too. Some had tried to fight. All had failed. The fear was spreading, like a shadow over the stars. And yet, in the fear, there was hope. The message hinted that humans were not just victims. There was something about them that could challenge the Silent Dominion, something no other species had. Lucas thought about Earth, about people who had no idea what was coming. He thought about children who played under the sun, never knowing the danger above them. He thought about families, friends, and lives that might end if they failed. "We have to protect them," he said softly, "no matter what it takes." Maya looked at him. "Then we start now. We don't wait for help. We find messages secret and use it." Ethan nodded. "They may be powerful, but they never expected humans to fight back in the way we can." Lucas smiled faintly. "Then let's give them a reason to fear us too." Outside, the stars continued to shine. To anyone else, they were just lights in the night. But to Lucas, Maya, and Ethan, they were the first signs of a coming storm. A storm that could reach Earth in weeks, maybe days. And somewhere in the silent darkness of space, the silent Dominion watched. It had noticed humans, and for the first time in centuries, it hesitated. The galaxy did not know it yet, but everything was about to change. The days passed slowly, but fear moved faster than anyone could imagine. Earth's governments tried to stay calm, but inside their secure rooms, panic was growing. Messages from the distant edge of space warned of ships appearing where none should be. Entire star systems had gone silent, and no one returned from them. Lucas Grant, Maya Carter, and Ethan Brooks worked non-stop in a hidden lab far from cities. They had started to understand more of the message from the silent Dominion. It was not just a threat. It was a warning and a puzzle, written in ways humans had never seen. Symbols shifted, numbers seemed to change, and the meaning was hidden behind layers of strange patterns. "It's like they want us to figure it out," Maya said, her eyes tired but sharp. "They're not just destroying worlds, they're testing us. They want to see what humans can do." I don't like that. I don't like that. Testing us means they know we could be dangerous. We are just a small planet. How can they be afraid of us? Lucas tapped his fingers on the console. "We have to figure that out. Whatever it is, we need to know before they get here. Earth won't survive if we wait." The three of them divided their work. Lucas focused on the coordinates in the message, plotting possible paths the Dominion might take. Maya worked on decoding the symbols and patterns, trying to see the message inside the message. Ethan studied the frequencies, listening to sounds that seemed to move on their own. Hours turned into nights, and nights into days. They slept little, ate little, and barely spoke except when necessary. The lab was filled with screens and blinking lights. Maps of space covered the walls. Charts showed the paths of planets and stars. Among it all, the silent Dominion's name appeared again and again, like a shadow over everything. One evening, a sudden alarm went off. Lucas jumped to the console. A signal had appeared, coming from deep space. It was fast, unlike any human or alien ship they had seen before. The signal pulsed with a rhythm that matched part of the message. "It's them," Lucas said quietly. "They are close." Maya's fingers flew over her keyboard. "No, wait. It's not just a ship. It's a fleet. Hundreds of them. And they're moving like they can think together. This isn't normal." Ethan stared at the screen in disbelief. A fleet that moves as one? That is terrifying. How can anything that big move like that without breaking apart? The signal continued, and the data kept coming. The Dominion was approaching faster than expected. Earth had less time than anyone thought. Governments were informed, and suddenly, plans for defense were hastily made. Soldiers prepared, weapons were readied, and scientists worked around the clock to find some advantage. But Lucas, Maya, and Ethan focused on something else. The message contained warnings about other civilizations, but also hints that humans were different. Hints that made the Dominion hesitate. This part of the code? Maya said, pointing at a section on her screen. It says something about adaptation, about change. They know we can respond in ways they can't predict. That's why they are afraid. Lucas frowned. Adaptation? What does that mean? Humans have no weapons strong enough to fight them. Ethan nodded slowly. Maybe it's not weapons. Maybe it's our mind, our decisions, our ability to think and act in ways no other species can. The message suggests they know humans are unpredictable. The thought made them uneasy. They were ordinary people, not heroes or soldiers. And yet somehow, they had a chance to change what might happen. Somehow, humans had become important in a galaxy that had always ignored them. While they worked, the world outside was slowly learning the truth. People noticed unusual signals in the sky, strange movements in satellites, and odd readings from telescopes. At first, they thought it was a natural phenomenon, a storm or a glitch. But the signals kept coming, precise and deliberate. In the cities, people began whispering about alien life. Some laughed, thinking it was a joke. Others panicked. Governments tried to control the news, but the fear was spreading. People remembered old stories, myths, and science fiction about invaders from space. Now, it felt real. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan barely had time to notice the panic. They were too focused on the message. They discovered another strange layer hidden inside. It was not written in symbols or numbers, but in patterns of thought. The message seemed to anticipate human reactions, almost as if it knew how humans would feel, think, and act. It's like they are reading us, Maya whispered, shivering. Not physically, mentally. They understand what humans might do. And yet, they are afraid of it. That is incredible and terrifying. They are centuries ahead of us, and they fear something about humanity. That should make us stronger, but it also means we are under a huge risk. Lucas rubbed his eyes. We have to stay focused. We have to figure this out before it's too late. Whatever they fear about us, we need to use it. Meanwhile, in space, scouts from the Silent Dominion moved silently. Their black ships appeared like shadows against the stars. They had no sound, no light, no signs of life visible to human instruments. They seemed unstoppable. Entire planets had disappeared in their path, leaving nothing behind. Some human scientists suggested evacuating Earth. Some politicians demanded a defensive fleet. But most argued that humanity had no chance. And yet, the message hinted at something else. It hinted that humans could survive, even thrive. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan continued to decode it. They found that the message contained patterns of biology, mathematics, and even culture. Somehow, the Dominion knew about humans, their history, and their evolution. It mentioned adaptability, creativity, and unpredictability, qualities no other species possessed. It's not about weapons, Ethan said one night, his voice low. It's about who we are. They fear what humans can become when pushed to the edge. Maya looked at him. Then we have to use it. We can't fight them like other species did. We have to fight with our minds, our choices, our ability to adapt. That's our advantage. Lucas nodded. And we need the world to understand that. We can't hide anymore. Everyone must know. Everyone must be ready to think, to act, to survive. As the three of them worked, the Dominion grew closer. Systems near Earth began to fail. Satellites stopped transmitting. Long-distance signals were blocked or scrambled. Panic spread faster than news could travel. People began leaving cities, fleeing to underground bunkers, or trying to escape in any vehicle they could find. Governments struggled to maintain order. But even in chaos, some calm remained. Some scientists, soldiers, and ordinary people tried to help each other, to understand the threat, to prepare. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan worked in shifts, decoding, plotting, and theorizing. They discovered that the Dominion had weaknesses, those small ones. Their fleets were powerful but required coordination. Their attacks were precise but depended on prediction. And most importantly, they feared humans' unpredictable nature. "This is our chance," Maya said one evening, her eyes bright with determination. "We can't fight them like other species. We have to do something they don't expect." Ethan nodded slowly. "And that's why they are afraid. Humans can act in ways they can't control. We just have to find the right way to use it." Lucas looked at the stars. The silent dominion was coming, but they didn't know how humans would respond. That uncertainty was humanity's only weapon. In the end, part of the message made everything clear. The Dominion had destroyed countless worlds, but none had ever adapted like humans. None had ever used their minds, their creativity, and their unpredictability in a way that could threaten the Dominion itself. And that made humans dangerous. The three of them knew their work was only beginning. Earth had no weapons capable of fighting the Dominion directly. The military might could delay, but it could not stop the fleet. But humans had something else. Something no other species had. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan were the first to realize it fully. The Dominion feared not what humans had, but what humans could become. And if they could unlock that potential, they might survive. Outside, the sky remained calm, filled with stars. But now, humans knew the truth. Earth was a target. A fleet was coming, and the galaxy was watching, holding its breath. The silent Dominion would arrive soon, and when they did, humanity would have to act, not with weapons, but with what made them human. Their creativity, their unpredictability, their ability to adapt. The clock was ticking. Earth had days, maybe hours. And in that time, Lucas, Maya, and Ethan worked harder than they ever had. The fate of their world depended on a message, a secret, and the courage of ordinary people facing the greatest danger imaginable. For the first time, humans were not alone in the galaxy, but the forces watching them were not friendly. And the test had only just begun. The silent Dominion was closer now than anyone had imagined. Its shadow stretched across the stars, moving silently toward Earth. Entire fleets of advanced ships appeared at the edges of human detection, dark and endless. Not they had destroyed other worlds with no warning, no mercy. And now Earth was in their path. Lucas Grant, Maya Carter, and Ethan Brooks worked tirelessly in their underground lab. Days and nights blurred together. The three of them had barely slept, but they had learned something critical. The silent Dominion was not afraid of human weapons, not of armies, not of technology. They were afraid of something else. "I don't understand," Lucas said, leaning back in his chair. "They have weapons that can erase planets. They control fleets faster than we can track. What can they possibly fear about humans?" Maya looked at the screens, which flickered with patterns from the message. "It's not weapons. It's not power. It's us. Something about our minds, our decisions, our ability to act in ways no one predicts." Ethan nodded slowly. "Humans are unpredictable. That's what scares them. Every other species they destroyed followed patterns, predictable behaviors. Humans, we don't always follow the rules. We improvise, we adapt." Lucas rubbed his face. "So we're dangerous because we can think for ourselves? That sounds strange. But if it's true, that's all we have. Our minds." Maya smiled faintly. "And that's enough. If we can figure out how to use it, we can survive." The three of them spent hours studying the Dominion's message. It was not just a warning, it was a guide. It explained their path of destruction, the way their fleets coordinated, and, strangely, their hesitation. The Dominion had never hesitated before, not in centuries, and the hesitation was because of humans. "There's a pattern here," Maya said one night, pointing at the screen. "They're afraid of our adaptability, yes, but it's more than that. They are afraid of how we can change faster than they can control. They fear that we can do the unexpected, the impossible." Lucas leaned forward. "So what do we do? How can we fight with that?" "We have to act in a way no one has ever acted. Not with weapons, not with force. We have to be unpredictable, creative. We have to think like the message says we can." The world outside was in chaos. Signals from satellites were being blocked or scrambled. Power grids flickered, people were confused, scared, and some were panicking. Governments tried to prepare, but no plan could stop the Dominion. Weapons would fail. Fleets would be destroyed. But humans had a new hope. The message suggested a way to survive, and it relied on humans' greatest strength, their creativity. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan began to experiment. They simulated scenarios, created strategies, and tested ideas that no human had ever considered. They worked on communication systems, codes, and tactics that combined logic with imagination. Every solution was unpredictable, designed to confuse and surprise the Dominion. "It's like a game," Lucas said, tapping on a console. "A game we have to win before they arrive. And if we lose, everything ends." Maya nodded. "Yes, but we're learning fast. Every code we break, every pattern we understand, makes us stronger. They fear humans because we can adapt. That's our weapon." Ethan leaned back in his chair. "I've been studying the frequencies in their message. It's not just words or numbers. It's like they're teaching us to think differently. They're warning us, yes, but also guiding us. Somehow, they prepared us without knowing we were ready." Lucas frowned. "So we're supposed to fight with our minds, not machines. That's different. But I think we can do it." As they worked, humans across Earth began to notice strange phenomena. Signals appeared in ways that no one could explain. Satellites received messages from unknown sources. Instruments picked up patterns in the stars that seemed deliberate, as if the universe itself was giving warnings. People began to whisper about aliens, strange technologies, and mysterious messages. Some were afraid, others were curious, but no one yet knew the full truth. Earth was a target, and the silent Dominion's fleet was only days away. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan realized that time was running out. The Dominion ships would arrive before humans could prepare fully. They needed a plan, and it had to use the one advantage humans had: unpredictability. "We can't wait for them to attack," Lucas said. "We have to act first, even if we don't know exactly what we're doing. That's how we stay unpredictable." Maya agreed. "We create something they cannot predict, something that shows humans are not like other species. They cannot control us. They cannot erase us." Ethan leaned over the console. "We can combine human logic with creativity. That's our edge. We use what they fear most, our ability to think, adapt, and change. We need to build systems that can do things even we don't fully understand. That's the point. That's what makes us dangerous." The three of them worked night and day. They created simulations of the Dominion fleet, studying every possible move and response. They tested strategies, some of which seemed ridiculous, but every experiment was part of their plan. They were training their minds and preparing Earth for the arrival of the greatest threat it had ever faced. In the meantime, the Dominion watched. Its scouts had reached the edges of human detection, but they could not fully understand humans. Each action, each response, each choice made by humans confused them. They had never faced a species that could adapt so quickly, think so differently, and act so unpredictably. Lucas realized that the fear of the Dominion could be turned into an advantage. If humans acted in ways the Dominion could not anticipate, it could give Earth a chance. "We need to make them hesitate," Lucas said. "Every second they hesitate is a second we can use. Every decision they cannot predict buys us time." Maya smiled faintly. "We have to show them that humans are not just survivors. We are something more. We are unpredictable, and we can fight in ways they cannot control." Ethan nodded. "And the message gave us the key. It taught us that we are different, that we have a power no other species has. It's our mind, our creativity, our ability to adapt. That's our weapon, and it's what they fear." Outside, the stars remained calm, but the silence was deceptive. The Dominion fleet was close, moving faster than anyone had expected. Entire worlds had vanished in its path, leaving nothing behind. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. On Earth, people were preparing in ways they did not fully understand. Scientists and engineers tried to decode the strange signals, unaware that Lucas, Maya, and Ethan had already solved part of the puzzle. Military forces readied weapons, but their true strength was in human ingenuity. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan worked together, creating strategies that no one else could imagine. They combined knowledge from the message with human creativity, building systems that were unpredictable and adaptive. Every test brought new insights. Every failure taught them something new. "This is it," Lucas said one evening, staring at the simulations. "We have to act now. The Dominion is coming, and if we wait, it will be too late. But if we use our minds, our creativity, we have a chance. It's small, but it exists." Maya nodded. "We can't let fear control us. We have to use it." We turned their fear into our strength. Ethan looked at the screens, then at the two of them, and we show them that humans are not like other species. They cannot control us. They cannot erase us. That's our power. The three of them worked through the night, preparing Earth for the arrival of the Dominion. They trained others, shared knowledge, and spread understanding of the strange message. The world was beginning to realize that survival depended not on weapons, but on human minds, on creativity, on the ability to act in ways no one could predict. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the silent Dominion moved closer, watching, waiting, and beginning to feel something it had never felt before: fear. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion hesitated. It had never encountered a species that could adapt so quickly, think so differently, and act so unpredictably. It had destroyed countless worlds, but humans were not like those other species. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan knew that this hesitation was their chance. The message had prepared them. Humans were ready in ways no one had imagined, and if they could use their minds, their creativity, and their ability to adapt, they might survive. The fate of Earth rested not on weapons, not on armies, but on the minds of humans. And the three of them were at the center of it all, guiding humanity through the greatest challenge it had ever faced. The silent Dominion would arrive soon, and when it did, humans would show the galaxy what it truly meant to be unpredictable, adaptable, and alive. The countdown had begun. Earth had little time. But for the first time, hope existed. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan stared at the stars, knowing that the test was about to begin. And they were ready. The day had come. The silent Dominion was at the edge of the solar system. Its fleet, black and silent, stretched farther than the human eye or telescope could see. Every instrument that tried to detect it shivered with strange energy, signals that seemed alive and aware. The world held its breath, but only a few knew the truth. Earth was about to face the greatest threat in its history. Lucas Grant stood in the command room of the underground facility. Maya Carter and Ethan Brooks were beside him, surrounded by screens filled with codes, simulations, and patterns from the Dominion's message. For months, they had studied, decoded, and prepared. Every moment, every sleepless night had led to this. "They are here," Lucas said quietly. His voice was calm, but his hands shook slightly. "All of our work comes down to this. We can't fail." Maya looked at the simulations. "Remember what we learned. They fear unpredictability. They fear that we can change faster than they can control. That's our advantage. We have to use it." Ethan nodded. "We can't fight them with weapons. That won't work. We fight with our minds, with our creativity, with our ability to act in ways they cannot predict. That's the only way." Outside, the sky was empty. No one could see the Dominion's ships from Earth, but everyone could feel it. Satellites flickered. Communications became strange. Signals carried messages that made no sense until Lucas, Maya, and Ethan decoded them. The Dominion was probing, trying to understand humans, trying to predict what they might do. Lucas tapped on the console. "We start now." We launch the counter signal, the message prepared. It's not a weapon. It's a mind trap, something that shows them we are unpredictable. Maya and Ethan worked quickly, sending signals, creating patterns, and feeding data into the system. Every calculation, every adjustment was designed to confuse the Dominion. It was not meant to destroy their fleet. It was meant to make them hesitate, to make them doubt what they thought they knew. As the first signals reached the Dominion, the human scientists held their breath. They watched the screens, waiting for a reaction. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the Dominion paused. Its scouts and main fleet, normally precise and unstoppable, hesitated. For the first time, the unstoppable force had slowed. Lucas whispered, "It's working. They don't know what we're doing. They are afraid of us." The hesitation was brief but critical. It gave humans time to act, to prepare further. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan continued to feed unpredictable signals, changing patterns constantly. Each time the Dominion adapted, humans changed again. Each attempt to predict was met with something new. On the surface, people noticed strange phenomena. Satellites displayed shifting lights. Communications repeated words that had never been sent. It was confusing, but it bought more time. Emergency services, scientists, and even military personnel began to see patterns in the chaos, learning that survival depended on creativity and adaptation, not on firepower. The first direct encounter came when a Dominion scout fleet entered Earth's orbit. Its black ships glided silently, enormous and imposing. The people on the ground could feel the presence, the pressure, the silent threat. No weapon fired, no alarm sounded. The Dominion expected submission, obedience, fear. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan were ready. The counter signal had reached its maximum effect. The Dominion hesitated, scanning, analyzing, trying to predict the next human move. But humans did not follow patterns. Humans improvised. Humans adapted. A team of volunteers trained for this moment acted as a relay. They sent unpredictable signals into space, creating patterns that shifted constantly. The Dominion could not follow. Its ships slowed, turned, and then moved back as if confused. The fleet had never experienced this before. "It's incredible," Ethan said. "They are completely thrown off. They can't understand our logic." Maya nodded. "And they fear it. That fear is real, and it's ours to use. Lucas looked at the screen. We need to push further. If we can make them hesitate longer, we can prepare Earth for more. We need to show them we are not just unpredictable. We are unstoppable in our adaptability. The humans continued their work, sending waves of unpredictable data, moving systems in ways the Dominion could not anticipate. The fleet wavered. Ships collided, not from attack but from confusion. Communications between Dominion ships broke down. They had no control. The world watched in awe. People could not see the Dominion fleet, but they could see the effects. Electrical grids flickered in strange patterns. Communications scrambled and then realigned in ways that made sense only to those who understood the signal. Humanity had learned a new kind of defense. It was not weapons. It was mind and creativity, unpredictability made real. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan coordinated with teams across the globe. Scientists, engineers, and civilians joined in. Each added new patterns, new signals, new ways to act unpredictably. The Dominion could not understand. It could not control. The main fleet of the Dominion appeared at the edge of the solar system. Thousands of ships, bigger than cities, black as night, moving in perfect synchronization. They had destroyed worlds before, and they expected the same from Earth. This is it. They are here. But we are ready. Remember, we don't fight them with weapons. We fight them with our minds. We fight them with what they fear the most, our unpredictability. Aya nodded. We change every signal, every pattern, every move. We cannot be predicted. They can't erase us if they can't understand us. Ethan began transmitting the final sequence. It was the most complex set of patterns, designed to keep the Dominion guessing, to make them pause, to force them to think in ways they could not. The Dominion's fleet slowed. Ships that were once precise and perfect hesitated. Their formation wavered. Signals scrambled. Systems failed. The unstoppable force was now stalled. Lucas whispered, "It's working. They don't know what we will do next. They are afraid of humans." Across the world, people watched the strange effects. Lights shifted in the sky. Instruments malfunctioned and then worked again. Communications seemed to talk back, almost alive. It was chaos, but it was controlled chaos, guided by human minds. The Dominion tried to adapt, but every attempt failed. Humans had changed faster than they could. Humans were not following patterns. Humans were unpredictable, adaptive, and unstoppable in their creativity. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan watched the fleet's hesitation grow. "We need to push further," Maya said. "We need to show them that humans cannot be controlled. That is our power." Ethan nodded. "Every move we make, every pattern we send, increases their fear. We need to keep changing, keep adapting. They can't stop us if they can't understand us." The humans continued. Signals, patterns, and actions changed constantly. The Dominion's fleet wavered, then retreated slightly. The first victory was small but important. The fleet could not predict what humans would do next. Fear had taken hold, and fear was a weapon humans could use. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan realized that Earth had survived the first wave. They had bought time, not with weapons, but with mind, creativity, and adaptability. They had used the very thing the Dominion feared most. But the fight was not over. More fleets were approaching, and the Dominion would learn. They would adapt. Humans would need to keep changing, keep improvising, keep acting in ways no one could predict. Lucas looked at the stars. The silent Dominion was still out there, but Earth had a chance. A chance not because of weapons or technology, but because of the human mind. Because humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and willing to fight in ways no one else could. Maya and Ethan joined him. "We survived the first encounter," Lucas said. "But we have to stay ready. They will return, stronger and more determined." Maya smiled faintly. "Then we keep changing. We keep adapting. We show them that humans are not just survivors. They are something more. Something they cannot control." Ethan nodded. "And that's why they fear us. That fear is ours to use. And we will." The world outside continued in its chaos, but for the first time, there was hope. Humans had faced the impossible and survived. They had used their minds, creativity, and unpredictability to make the galaxy pause. The silent Dominion was still a threat. The fleet had not been destroyed. But for the first time in centuries, it hesitated. And hesitation was the first step toward victory. Lucas, Maya, and Ethan knew the fight was only beginning. More waves would come, but humanity had discovered its greatest power, the ability to adapt, to think, to act unpredictably, and to survive against the impossible. And for the first time, the galaxy realized that humans were not weak, not insignificant, and not defenseless. They were dangerous, they were unpredictable, and they would not be erased. The stars remained calm, but Earth had awakened. Humanity had survived the first encounter. The silent Dominion would return, but humans would be ready. Not with weapons, but with mind, courage, and adaptability. The countdown had not ended. The test was not over, but humans had learned the truth. Their greatest strength was themselves, and the galaxy would never forget it.